What if I told you you already have everything you need to accomplish your goals? You don't need more time, you don't need more money, you don't need more resources, you don't need more knowledge, you don't need more help. You have everything you need right now. I want to tell you a quote I heard from Tony Robbins that changed my life. And he said, it's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. So what I want to talk about today is what I believe to be the number one most important key to your achievement or your success in your goals. And I believe that is the trait of resourcefulness. How can you do a lot with the little that you have? And the reason I say this is so important is because we're always, especially now in the age of information, we're always trying to know more before we do. Like, I got to have everything in line. I got to have everything in order. I got to have everything planned out to make sure that before I do this, I'm ready, or before I do this, I know it's going to work. And I use this analogy a lot when I talk about entrepreneurship or doing your own thing or just doing something unorthodox. You know, and I'm going to talk about the bike today, is that this journey is like building a bridge across shark-infested waters, and every single step, you're laying the next plank to walk on. There's no path. You're creating the path. So right now, if you feel like you're behind, it's because you're following your own vision. There is no blueprint for you. You're literally making it up as you go. And I think resourcefulness is one of the most, if not the most important thing that you could develop within your journey. So I always talk about this incident because it really was life-changing, but go back to the accident in 2015. You guys know the story. Drove down to Fresno, California, unloaded the bikes within 10 minutes, being chased by cops, was running GTA, 5 stars, helicopter. You know, I don't know how many cars there were. T-boned a car, ended up in the hospital, then ended up going in jail. I want to paint that picture because I got home, I think it was like 3 or 4 days later. I got bailed out, went to the hospital, got checked out, everything was good. And by the time I went home, figured out exactly what was wrong with me, got everything cleaned up, got surgery on one hand, cast on another hand. I went home and I sat with myself. I was in a very dark place because every single thing that was my identity is now gone. Okay, so I attached myself to the bike. I attached myself to my physical condition, and now, you know, being in an accident and the bike still being in Fresno in a junkyard, I feel like I'm nothing. And it was in this dark moment that I actually discovered one of the most important things that I've applied to the rest of my life, and that's resourcefulness. Okay, I know I want to be involved in this. There's no doubt in my mind I'm going to stay involved any way I can. And this is where I'm starting to develop this characteristic of resourcefulness, because what happens to most people when they get punched in the mouth or they get hit by a car, they're just going to lay down and feel sorry for themselves. And I did that, and I realized that it just started getting worse and worse and worse. So I was like, I need to get the fuck up and I need to do something that has to do with the bike. The only thing that I had in my possession was my camera. And I started thinking, how can I make something? How can I make something of this where I can still be involved in the bike life with the injuries and all the shit that I'm going through? And this is when I actually reached out to one of the bigger stunt companies, one of my sponsors, RSC, and I actually started his Instagram page. I reached out to him. He didn't know me. I was a no-name rider at this point. I had a few tricks in my bag, but I reached out to RSC and I said, hey, you know, Instagram is popping right now. I think you're missing the boat. You don't have an Instagram page. If you send me some parts, I'll take pictures and videos and I'll actually open an Instagram page for you and I'll run it. I'll reach out to other people. I'll do tags. I'll do all this other stuff. So I actually started this like social media management thing for one of the most popular clutch companies at the time. Long story short, I ran it for like 6 months. Ended up turning it back over to them. But this was like a really big turning point in my mind for the rest of my life, going into, okay, instead of, again, being just negative and pessimistic and crying about my situation and just bitching and complaining, what can I do right now? This was one of my strongest traits moving forward, was what do you have? What can you do? Even before my accident, I have a video where I was learning how to ride, and I actually whiskey throttle, which is me grabbing a handful of throttle, and I smashed the bike into the wall. I'll try to find that video. I hit the bike directly against the wall and it bent the frame. I rode that bike with a bent and cracked frame, and even on the street, which is very unsafe. But again, I didn't have any other option. So it was either sit, complain, and don't ride, or take the risk and get to it. After the accident and after I recovered, this became my superpower. I came back. I didn't have money. I was literally fucking flat broke. The bike that I had, I went in on with my girlfriend and we rode it together. I didn't have money for gloves. I stopped wearing gloves because I didn't care. My goal is to get back on this bike, regardless of the circumstance or what it looks like. I'm doing it. I was so dead broke after my accident and getting back on the bike and getting back to work and trying to recover. The bike that I ended up getting, I split with my girlfriend and we rode it together, and I didn't even have money for gloves. And so I stopped wearing gloves. My hands got used to it. I literally didn't even care. And there were so many other instances in my journey with the bike where this happened and good things came out of it. When I ended up building my first really nice bike, the back wheel that I was using, somehow, I don't know if it got bent during the powder coating process when they heated it up and maybe somebody dropped it, whatever, but the back wheel had a wobble, and the wobble would make the brake drag. So I always had issues with my rear brakes on a brand new, freshly built bike. That is where you saw me take the handbrake off and do a bunch of tricks with no handbrake because my handbrake was dragging. I couldn't figure out why it was dragging, so I just said, fuck it, and took it off. What am I going to do? Sit and complain and bitch about my back wheel and not have the bike perform the way I want it to, or just fucking take it off? What can I do with what I have? And that's what I'm really trying to drive home to you guys today, is what can you do right now with what you have? Don't keep looking for all these other external things to come your way and all the circumstances to line up. What can you do right now? Because if you constantly are in this state of, again, searching for more information, more money, more this, more that, more time, it literally never happens. And when you start to become resourceful, like I'm trying to describe to you, and you start to condition your brain to right now is the time, regardless of what's going on, you start seeing things that you've never seen before. And there's so many other instances in my journey with the bike that this was apparent. I mean, I towed a piece of shit trailer with a car that was only supposed to haul a certain amount of weight, and I put two bikes on it, one backwards. It was unsafe. When me and my brother would record and document all this stuff that you guys are seeing and all this footage, we didn't have good cameras. We didn't know what we were doing. We just did it. We didn't let anything get in our way. And I started to take this through the rest of my journey throughout my life. Getting into entrepreneurship full time with my media company, day trading, speaking, this has been my greatest asset because like I'm sure you do, you're constantly critiquing yourself and you always feel like you're not good enough or you're not quite ready. And that's how I felt with everything. I'm not ready to quit my job. Okay, well, if not now, when? You said you were going to do it years ago. You said you were going to get this shit in motion years ago. Here we are. Now's the fucking time. Well, I don't have enough money saved. I don't have clients currently. So keep waiting? Waste more of your life? Continue to be unhappy? Or do it now, right? With day trading, I've said this before in a few videos. Not a lot of people know that I trade, but the first year that I started trading, I lost $30,000 within like the first couple months. One of the dumbest decisions I've made in a very long time. And now I'm doing well. I'm doing a lot better, but during that build back process, like everyone has always says you need a certain amount of capital to trade. It's better to trade with $10,000. Bro, I was throwing $100 fucking dollars in there. This is what I have. I'm gonna try to run this up. What am I supposed to do? Just fucking quit? It's just no longer in my DNA to not work with everything that I have. And I think that has really become my superpower within so many other things. In 2022, I've shared it on this channel before, I did my first keynote. the whole entire time I was preparing for this, I kept telling myself, you're not ready. Why are you doing this? You don't have enough wisdom. Why do people give a shit about what you have to say? You're a fraud. I kept telling myself all these things, but I kept pushing through it because I kept drawing memory on the bike. And I kept drawing memory of when did I feel like I had nothing? When did I feel like all the odds were against me and I still made it work? When did I feel like the circumstances weren't good? When did I feel like I was an imposter before and I pushed through it? And I had so many examples from the bike. It's helped me through the rest of my life. For anybody watching this right now and anybody listening, start now. Don't wait. Whatever you have, that's enough. And when you can start to shift your mind to start thinking, okay, I have everything I need right now. I can get it going today. And when you get in a routine of always telling yourself that now is not the right time, you don't have enough resources, it becomes a habit. And that habit starts to grow. And then next thing you know, years have gone by and you're still in the same fucking place.